Welcome. Welcome home. Welcome home, Earth Angels. Welcome home, Super Rock Starseeds. And welcome back. My name is Melissa Brace, and I will be your multi-density cosmic tour guide today. We are talking about the Akashic records today, and we're going to do a little bit of clearing and realigning in our Akash. And I just would like to say, oh my gosh, Akash, because we are becoming aware in these days that our Akashic records have been a little bit tainted. So as we have been functioning, surviving, living in the lower matrix for all of these tens of thousands of years, humanity was a little bit imprisoned in these lower densities. And so were our Akashic records, which would be our book of life, our tree of life. They were distorted. Our templates were distorted. Our soul contracts have been distorted. So I've been seeing this for a couple of years, and there's a little bit of work that needs to be done as we balance out and hold that light for humanity to keep stepping up into those higher frequencies in their own templates, coming home in balance, as I always say, that Christed balance, the divine masculine and feminine inside our sacred union, as I like to call the return of Christ. And all of us in our lifetimes have had really disappointing and delays, distractions. And some of this we can account to our Akashic records. Our Akashic records over the many tens of thousands of years come down to also our DNA structure, energetic structure, mind, body, spirit, soul. And all of us have been infiltrated and have had a lot of distortions. And so in that, our energy signatures, books of life that were here to put us back into our divine plan. And as we chose each lifetime, what our plans were, our divine plans were, how we were going to navigate and what we were going to work on. And so a lot of those pieces have been really distorted in layers of our Akash and layers of our mind, body, spirit, soul. Our DNA goes all the way down to our royal bloodlines. They've been infiltrated by those lower energies, and we've been imprisoned. So if we can look at it like if it's really like a giant book, and we open it up and there's a book for each one of us, and each one of us has different lifetimes and different thoughts, ideas, things that we're supposed to be or are supposed to be in our soul contracts, certain key points that we're supposed to experience in this lifetime. And sometimes they've been overtaken and really interfered with by others. And that also goes into our alignments of, do we have attachments, traumas, all those kinds of things that are playing out and keeping us blocked from our Akashic records, pure divine, blueprint plan, as it was meant to be, the original plan. And so sometimes that's yes. And what we can do is perhaps not only continue to cleanse and clear our shadow, work on our inner child, our self-healing, but we can also scrub out the energy out of these Akashic records, and however you would like to see them and is the right way for you. So if we would like to see the Akashic records as a tree that talks and tells us the information that we came here to receive, or as a big book, or as a big movie screen, and we can hit the buttons and say, okay, what is in this soul contract with so-and-so, or what is this in this soul contract for me in this lifetime to the theme of what I'm going to learn from? What can I know? So you can always ask the pure divine light. You can always ask God's source, what can I know right now? You can talk to your guides and guardian angels. So as we know, our guides and guardian angels have been integrating our connection, our higher self. Guides, guardian angels, teams have come with us and descended into these lifetimes in these physical densities, these human form. And as we clear out humanity, these forms, conditions, layers, templates, roles, archetypes are here to be cleared, and that's within each one of us. Each one of our Akashic records, although very valid and very important for those of us who've been in spiritual work all of these years. I think all of the psychics and the mediums somehow touch that Akash, those layers of Christed energy in all of our work, and the ministers and the teachers and all of us touch those layers sometimes, and they have been most important. However, we're coming to a time where we are tuning up, as I always say, and connecting with the cosmic heart, that an image of God that is untaintable as we come out of the lower densities, dimensions. And so what do you think about maybe asking before we go to bed, or if we're in the shower or driving, asking for a little bit of a cleansing and clearing, almost like send in a little bit of a scrub, like a washcloth, and scrub out some of the inverted matrix imprints in our Akash. One of the things that I learned to do, it's a little bit funny because over the years I'm very creative, right? And always continuing to stand in God's divine will and the highest good of all. So it's always known that if you go into your Akashic records, you can't really know about others. And yet I've seen many people always trying to infiltrate and sometimes interfere, meddle, change others' Akashic records or soul contracts or divine plans. As you see, that is part of the spiritual war, the distortion, the dark energies, struggling and warring with our pure divinity, our light, our Christed selves, and all the layers and templates of who we are, all the way up to our highest self. So every once in a while, I'll get really mad at God and myself and the world and ask, like, why did you come here for this? This is gross and sometimes painful and just stupid. So I kind of almost imagine, and I learned this from, of course, Moses energy, holding his staff and really downloading some true divine information. What can I know, God? Holding the staff, I imagine myself in my higher self form. And I slam that staff down on that rod on the ground, and I imagine that in my own spirit energy form, really mad because nothing is working and I can't figure it out and it hurts and the distorted energies are really tough for me this, at any given time. And so every once in a while I throw a fit. What if we decide to, in our own Akashic records only, ask for that powerful strength? It's almost like a lightning bolt of pure divine light, highest good, going into our Akash, our mind, body, spirit, soul form, and adjusting that, scrubbing away some of the dark energies and inverted curses, bindings, hexes, vexes, spells, or damage, wounds, traumas, root causes of where we're stuck, tears, open portals in places that it's not supposed to be. So what if we imagine that in book form? What if we imagine that on TV screen form? And we, in some way, push a button, slam the staff down to the ground, and ask for the waves of purity to go through our Akash and timelines to erase all the way to the root, all the way to the beginning of time and back, some pieces that have been keeping us blocked of things that are no longer for our highest good. So let me describe that a little bit more, as I, again, want to say the Akashic records are very important. However, as we realize we're coming into the new earth and that heaven on earth balance over the next years, we are going to really realize again in every aspect that we have belief systems, root sufferings, lower densities in each one of us, which we can call distortion, that are stuck in our different timelines and our pieces of who we are. Again, mind, body, spirit, soul. And some of those are imprisoned pieces of who we are in belief systems and pain and suffering of perhaps different lifetimes or this lifetime. So, as we had the big wave of, in the last, 10 years of the narcissists and the predators just taking over and being crazy. And we can see that as like reptilian, draconian energy. We might start going, oh, they stitched in some kind of distortion into us, into our Akashic records, into our trees of life, into our DNA, into our very experience in this simulated world. And so we can ask for that to be unstitched. And whatever is causing us the most blockage, pain, suffering, we can ask for it to go to the root cause, and whatever's been stitched in that is not yours, that is not your highest good, that is not pure, to be pulled out. So my favorite way will be slam that rod on the ground and imagine only pure light, God's source energy scrubbing away, unstitching, delousing your Akashic records. Only because, again, you're not supposed to go into anyone else's. You can ask questions about someone else within your Akash, but you can't infiltrate others without them asking and you working together. So imagine this beautiful flow of scrubbing away, unstitching, delousing of just the darkest, the heaviest shadow, pain, suffering, war, hatred, persecution, and all of you who have felt abandoned or alone, like you didn't belong. What if I told you that very well may be that you are advanced and beautiful and spectacular, loved and lovable, but the dark energies didn't want you to know that, so they stitched in some things and to make you isolate, separate, and go against each other, hurt each other is the dark, top things that they do. And what if they stitch that into your Akashic records? We can ask over and over for different layers and different roles, archetypes, templates, codes in who we are to be unstitched if they're backwards, inverted, and dark. And so in that, I'm just going to just do it now for all of us if you want. Slam that staff onto the ground, pushing out the energy of purity and pushing away all the bindings and the shadow that's been grasping onto you that will not let go, even no matter what you've done, no matter how much you've tried to get through things and heal through things. There could be a root cause in another lifetime or second grade or yesterday that can be unstitched, deloused, and in the next months, you might be able to feel free and a little lighter. And we could do it again in a different aspect and all the way to time and back. Ask for purification and alignment and recoding to come in of your perfect divine blueprint, original soul contracts, all the way to the beginning of time and in perfect Christed balance. And that will integrate in over time as well into your DNA, your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, in so many different ways, and help you become free. And that's why I'm always saying, welcome home, because each step that we take in purification, integration, staying in alignment in that higher frequency that we were meant to be in, that we were created in, and that includes in all the energies and all the frequencies beyond our comprehension that we could put into our tree of life, our Akashic records, and that will bring us closer to freedom and home than we've ever been. So if you do not like the staff idea, what if we decide to energetically bring a little scrubby washcloth? And we might not know, we might not be able to even see or need to know some of the details, whatever wounded us the most. But we can ask to scrub it out of those Akashic records. And again, if it looks like a book to you in the big library of consciousness, then get your book out and scrub some pieces out. Like, yes, you were, so-and-so was mean and stole all your money and makes fun of you and lies and cheats and steals. That's not my choice. I don't have the time for this. So we scrub away the distorted pieces. And so the pure divine love and the original truth of your actual Akash, your book of life, can become available and clear, as well as all these layers of who you are. And in that, it keeps us stable and aligned in our higher self forms. And more we remember who we are, fully and completely. Pure divine love. So, this has been fun. Oh my gosh, Akash. I'm just going to pull a card. And I chose the Beyond Lemuria cards. And the reason I chose these is because some of the templates or conditions of consciousness that we remember being the most pure peaceful, loving, harmonious, beautiful, wonderful, fun, passionate, rich, joyous, good is Lemuria. So as we pull back that consciousness that can help us stay in balance and recode this earth from the fallen sacred garden, a Garden of Eden, to the sacred garden that it was meant to be, without any extra demons, darkness, fallen, gross things. And I'm going to pull a little card for us for theme. In that Lemurian consciousness, it does feel like there's a lot of like blues and purples, and things look a little bit different to me. And remember, everything that rings true to you, your truth, is right for you. So if there's some perception that's a little bit different for all of us, that's okay. But I'm asking for what we can bring in to hold in our everyday life, pray for, meditate with, that can help adjust our Akash into stabilization in the highest, most pure, divine blueprint, the original, as it was supposed to be. Hope that makes sense. Let's see what we got. It's my least favorite thing. Vulnerability. So as we balance, here's this, soul flame and record keepers crystals right here with this dragon coming around. And what if this dragon was the magic dragon of knowledge and wisdom and a gatekeeper to the Akash? Which could look at these different symbols and things that could be really symbolic of how we can see our Akashic records, that allows us to trust again and be safe enough to open up. And as we clear our Akash, we can trust and know that the same boogeymans and demons and grossnesses and fears that we've always had that are imprinted into us are being erased out of our book of life, our tree of life, our DNA, so that it can't come back into our energy fields, our systems in the future. So imagine the safety and being vulnerable as our Akashic records are being healed. So I've got angelic help. They're saying there's a true book of life. It's just that this has, in this system, in this quadrant of the universe, we have been in a lower density form. We've been in quarantine as well. So there's layers of all these things that we couldn't go all the way up to our higher selves all the way and have conscious awareness of it all the time. Some a little bit. And as that comes back into divine order, and we connect more with our consciousness, our higher selves, it was just impossible. We were in survival mode. So that's what causes some of the mental breakage, the pain, the suffering, and people to act out at each other, right? So when these are reversed, unstitched, erased out of our consciousness, then we can be, imagine what it would be like just to sit and just relax, ease, peace. Imagine. And I'm going to ask if there's anything else from the consciousness of Lemuria that could help us on our journey to stay stabilized in our highest truth, sacred truth, our sacred union inside, and our connection with Source in our Akash. I've been feeling that blue flame energy a whole lot. Not Project Bluebeam, but the blue flame. And Starseed Elemental is coming out. So look at her. She is in her truth, all these different colors that we've never known before. And it's almost like Fae, Starseed, and the light. Look at this. Here's the library, the Akash all around her. She knows who she is. She remembers and knows her connections are true. And that blue energy is kind of what I'm feeling. The indigo energy is coming in to help activate us, our codes to awaken in our truth in these higher chakras. But further out too, I think it's a lot more than that. And I love this Starseed Elemental, which is almost the equivalent of a extraterrestrial fairy or elf. And so just know that you have helpers, and the celestial beings, your teams, are going to be, there's some new ones, by the way, or newly activated, where we can feel them, hear them for this time period, are going to help you with the starseed elemental, which would be etheric and multidimensional multi-density. So in the multi-dimensions, in our Akash, we're going to be working in and out of different layers. So I think that's a beautiful one. And just know that you're loved and supported. And whenever you think about it, even if it's just like when you're watching TV, or you're driving to work, or you need to go get light bulbs at the store, you can think, okay, well, for just a moment, can we scrub out or send a beautiful, pure wave of light through my Akashic records and scrub clean and undo and unstitch and delouse from some of that inverted lower matrix schniz. It was fun to be with you today, and I send many blessings and pure love to you and your Akash and your journey. And I would like to say welcome home again, starseeds. And also that can be our tree of life, because those templates have been wildly distorted and they're coming back into order. So I mean, by the Akash, I mean all levels of who we are. Okay? Thank you, everyone. If anyone wants an appointment, wants to work on some spiritual engineering, cleansing, clearing, healing, alignments, codes, all those kinds of things, and have any kind of appointment of the services that I have, you are welcome to check out my webpage. The info is in the box below. And again, thanks for all the likes and the shares and subscribes. Have a beautiful week, everyone. Many blessings.